So it's all about stealing property, putting you into compact cities. It's all part of the larger Agenda 21. The good news is some states out west are moving that under common law and under the state charters, when they were previously territories, if the feds don't, they have first dibs under the territory rules to open it up for people to stake a land claim or a mineral claim. But the feds haven't been issuing those in many cases for, well, really in the last 70, 80, 90 years. It's very hard to get them unless you're an insider. Before, you just showed up and said, well, nobody staked this 100 acres. It's mine. It's my Ponderosa. And that's when people moved west. But they've frozen that up. Well, the states are going in and reading the fine print, and they're going, well, that's going to revert to the state now, and we're going to let people strike claims on this. Obviously, it won't be free, or it won't be 1 cent an acre or 3 cents an acre. We bought our land from the Mexican government for 3 cents an acre in the 1820s, 1829 on my dad's side. I mean, it's not going to be that inexpensive, but the states are going to raise a lot of money, and it's a good thing, and it needs to happen. And I'm even open if counties want to pass, because that's the people, regulations where the new land that's sold has to be pasture, or maybe if it's even more inexpensive, if you have it for, say, wildlife preserve. People want that. Believe me. I mean, if Colorado said we're selling millions of acres, I mean, I love Texas, but if I could go buy a couple thousand acres, for cheap, I'd probably move to Colorado. And, but again, that's why move west, young man. Haven't you been told California's full of whiskey, women, and gold, as the country music song says? I'm not looking for whiskey, women, or gold. I'm looking for land. I can't afford land, more than a few acres. In a business deal gone bad many years ago, I got like 4 acres out in the hill country, and I can barely pay the taxes on that, so I don't really own the land. Okay, I said I'd take your calls, and now I've been ranting for 3 minutes. Let's go to Scott in Arizona. Scott, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Alex. What I wanted to talk to you about is a little organization. Actually, it's a pretty big organization. It's called Office of International Treasury Control, which is also known as Foundation X. They claim to be a sovereign entity, and they claim that the Federal Reserve reports to them. They claim to have all the
Are you saying you've identified Foundation X?
Yes, it's called Office of International Treasury Control. They claim that on the 4th and 5th level, you have to be, a president, or just like you'd heard from the gentleman in England with the Parliament there, all the same criteria. If you look them up, they say that there's a lot of disinformation out on them, but they're part of the UN. If you go to their official site, Wikipedia, anybody can put something on there. They say that's disinformation about them, that they only release information to people that, comes through them. If it doesn't come through them, it's disinformation. But they have the UN symbol on there. I've talked to a few people about them, and they're kind of a very, very secret organization.
Well, let me just put something out here for you. When we talk about Foundation X, that is the private families, and I've talked to very high-powered people in the British government and in the EU government. You've heard some of them here on air. I'm not going to say their names, but you can guess who they are. But I know members of the EU Parliament. I know members of the House of Lords, not just Lord Monckton. And I'm here to tell you that's not who they say is running this. If you want to know the most public manifestation of what Lord Blackheath called Foundation X, it's the OECD, the Office of Economic Cooperative Development. And that was the receivership arm for all of Europe after it had been imploded at the end of World War II. And that was the instrument through which the Marshall Plan pumped what would be tens of trillions of dollars today, hundreds of billions in post-World War II numbers. It's what they ran things like Lend-Lease through during the war, not just to the British, but to the Russians. In today's numbers, trillions of dollars of weaponry and raw material, from Ford pickup trucks to, Overland, company, Jeeps, to the Russians, to thousands of ships and battleships and carriers and carrier ships. So the issue here is it's the private families that own the Bank of England, the Bundesbank, the private Federal Reserve. They just call it Foundation X, kind of like Lindsey Williams, was calling Ken Fromm before he could say his name, Mr. X. There's a lot of groups that run around and claim, they've got these trillions of dollars coming down the pike, and who pose as if they're part of international organizations. But I've seen no proof of the organization that you're talking about, because I have looked at it previously, because I saw this a few months ago, as being a real organization. But I will continue to do more research on it. But we know who the real power is. Who can shut down overnight more than 20 post-Commonwealths and current Commonwealths, like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the list goes on and on. Who can shut down parliaments in what was formerly the Dutch East Indies and other Dutch holdings? The Queen of England and her Saxe-Coburg-Gotha cousin, Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. Now, again, they love to act like they have no power. And I see your point. You're saying that, this group likes to act like it has no power. But I'm talking about the bona fide groups who, when they have to show their power, they will go from being submerged to briefly uncloaking and emerging when they have to engage in power plays. Anything else?
Yeah, real quick here on that. Now, I did check them out, because I agree with everything you're saying, 100%. But they claim that they go through their history and how they gained and how everything is, they go through it in detail. I mean, that's what really threw me off, because they talk about those families, that they're connected with them, that they are part of everything you just mentioned. They talk about Jekyll Island, how they gained and put this entity into play, and that they are the biggest shareholder of the gold bullion.
Listen, I hear you. I appreciate your call. The real power brokers don't come out and tell you how they run everything and how their entire system locks together. They occasionally, if it's the former German Chancellor Helmut Schmidt or David Rockefeller, will write a book saying, yeah, we want global government, it's for your own good. Or they'll say, oh, look, we're giving all our money away to charity. It's really tax-free foundations. So their wealth is untaxable, which is an undue trade advantage and a vertical integration. But send me more information, or write an article about it and send it to me. I'm not trying to totally poo-poo what you're saying. I believe that it's not correct. I appreciate your call, Scott. Thank you. But people can check it out for themselves. You just talked about it. And again, I don't believe anything Wikipedia says, as you were saying, because they've got my name spelled wrong. They've got a bunch of stuff on there that's wrong. It's been on Wikipedia before that I'm dead. And so, I know that Wikipedia has a lot of problems. But Wikipedia says the Office of International Treasury Control is a seemingly elaborate, fraudulent organization which claims to be associated with the United Nations and the Federal Reserve, the Central Bank of the United States. It has attempted to deceive people and organizations in Ecuador, Fiji, and the United Kingdom. The UN and Federal Reserve have denied any knowledge in connection with the OITC. The purpose of the hoax is unknown. I don't really know what this is, but I know what NESARA is. I've been hearing about this for 12, 13 years. There's a secret group of good people in government, and everything's going to be okay in 1 year, and you don't have to get involved in government because there's a secret group of white knights that are going to save you. Total baloney. Over and over again, people get sent these Nigerian emails saying, I am Prince Babupi. I have $14 trillion. If you give me $5,000 from your bank account, I will transfer you $15 million. It is simply a small favor I need. And, they find old ladies and, young men and just gullible people, and they literally run around going, I've been contacted by Prince Mabupi. I've known people who are supposedly in the Patriot movement who get one of these emails and go on the radio and say, they've tried to buy me off. I've been offered, $15, $20 million by Prince Mabupi. There is no Prince Mabupi, okay? If you give the Nigerians your bank account, they're going to rob you. And then after they take your 5, 10,000, whatever they get, they say, oh, the prince only needs 10,000 more, knowing you've already cashed in. You're already in, you've got a stake. You don't want to admit you've been conned. Prince Mabupi is now saying, give me double the money and you'll get not 15 mil, but 30 mil. And, the husband goes to the wife, or the wife goes to the husband and says, we've got to give, look, The prince is coming to meet with me. He promises after I get the money. I want to know Prince Mabupi. My life is incredibly magic now. It's like Hollywood. Don't tell me this dream hasn't come true. Prince Mabupi! Prince Mabupi! And they give him the next 10 grand. And then Prince Mabupi comes back and says, no, I only need 20 grand more. And then I will transfer you 50 million. And folks usually go through the thing 2 or 3 times before they figure out they've been conned. Or they still believe Prince Mabupi's real, but somebody got to them. And so for years, they're trying to call Prince Mabupi. People travel to Nigeria to meet with Prince Mabupi. They go into hotels and say, where is Prince Mabupi? Everyone laughs at them. There is no Prince Mabupi. So I'm not talking about Prince Mabupi anymore. Let's go ahead and take another phone call here. Let's talk to Pat in Ohio. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi. Alex, I got 2 questions, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, as long as it's not about Prince Mabupi.
The first one is about Mr. Fromm. Sometimes I kind of think he wanted to die because he knew about the cancer on the shelf. He knew that his friend, Mr. Lawler, had gotten free. He's been cancer-free, according to Mr. Pastor Williams. So why would he not follow suit, follow the same route that his friend did? And his son, you know, even though they say he persuaded him to go with chemotherapy, surely Mr. Fromm had talked to his son about, you know, the cancer on the shelf. Only certain people knew about.
Well, you know, that's mainly a capillary side issue that Lindsey Williams knows these 2 former oil company executives that have given him a lot of good intel. And one of them has a son who's a doctor, so he went the conventional route, the other one another route. I'm not saying there's 100% cancer cure. I know there are a lot of, 2-time top globalist, 2-time winner of the Nobel Prize for Medicine and Science, Linus Pauling, said megadoses of natural vitamin C are a big, very good treatment. And I know that mainline medical science ignores a lot of things that are good treatments as well. And I think that, you know, obviously radiation, these other things have a pretty bad track record. But the bigger news of Lindsey Williams from his sources is that oil's going to $150, $200 a barrel in the next 6 months. But stay there. We'll see if we got any other points on the other side, Pat. Then Andrew, Shannon, George, and others. Stay with us. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to Prince Mabupi. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, I am Prince Mabupi. All right, folks, I'm trying to have some fun today. Gallows humor. We are back live. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to go back to your calls here in a moment. One note for folks that want to get a book that is now out of print everywhere, selling for $900 and something on Amazon and eBay. And they're selling at that price. We sold out. We had no idea that when we bought the last of these a few weeks ago that it was one of the hottest books on the web. We didn't look at what it was selling for. I heard her say it was going out of print. I'd always carried it. So we bought, I guess in the end, about 850 of these. And then we hadn't gotten all of them in. The last ones came in 2 days ago in several shipments that Charlotte Iserby sent us of Deliberate Dumbing Down.